He's a life changer, miracle arranger, born to the virgin mom in a manger. Water to wine, he's a drink exchanger, and he died for your sins. I preach the word, that's my gig.
Another one of my viewers actually requested that I check out the Divine Soul Sorcerer, so we are doing that today. Divine Soul, your power in your magic, literally embodies celestial beings and healing thaumaturgic power. This class also, to me, seems like my standard go-to whenever people are considering, like, playing a almost sort of a Sailor Moon-y type of character, you know, like the kind of magical girl character archetype. If you look at, like, Star versus the Forces of Evil, my girlfriend Amanda was actually trying to play a character based on her last year, and I was like, man, Divine Soul just feels so right for that, you know? The Divine Soul is one of two subclasses that came to us in Xanthar's guide that focused on making an arcane caster function as the party healer, the other one being the Celestial Patron Warlock. I really love allowing the base classes to branch out and, you know, play different roles in the game. Like, if you have your tank, your support, your healer, your DPS, allowing each of the classes to kind of branch out and possibly, like, explore another way to play that same class, I think that's going to make 5th edition a lot more interesting and versatile of a game overall. So, let's get over into D&D Beyond and check out the Divine Soul Sorcerer. So, the Divine Soul. Sometimes the spark of magic that fuels the sorcerer comes from a divine source that glimmers within the soul. Having such a blessed soul is a sign that your innate magic might come from a distant but powerful familial connection to a divine being. Perhaps your ancestor was an angel, transformed into a mortal and sent to fight in a god's name. Or your birth might align with an ancient prophecy marking you as a servant of the gods or a chosen vessel for divine magic. A divine soul with a natural magnetism is seen as a threat by some religious hierarchies. An outsider who commands sacred power, a divine soul can undermine an existing order by claiming a direct tie to the divine. In some cultures, only those who can claim the power of a divine soul may command religious power. In these lands, ecclesiastical positions are dominated by a few bloodlines and preserved over generations. This is an archetype that I think DMs and players alike can get a lot of use out of. With Divine Soul, I'm immediately thinking, like, in my world building, let's say a political situation where there's a kingdom that's been established around a noble bloodline because they are all divine souls, right? Like, the entire family line is descended from angels, and they've used that to establish that, like, oh, we're clearly chosen to rule this kingdom, so you all just need to listen to our divine word. Make for, like, a really interesting villain and kind of political turmoil. I love whenever subclasses inspire some ideas like that. So getting into this, if you're not familiar with my color coding system, I'll go over here. So purple means that I think that the feature is very good, very strong, very versatile, and you're going to see it impact from the time that you get it until the time that you're done with that campaign. Yellow is just, I'm highlighting important text. Blue is, I think that the feature is strong, but there may be something that's holding it back from being a purple rated feature. Typically that's like, it's tied into something that makes it fairly niche. Or it just in general, it's just not as good as a purple feature. Green is, I think that the feature is good, but it may be fairly niche, or it might not be as impactful as a blue or purple feat. This kind of orange color, that means that I think that the feature is noticeably weaker than other options that are provided. And then red is, I think that the feature is actually detrimental to the character. It's very rare that you're ever going to see me give out red on any of these subclasses. So Divine Magic, your link to the Divine allows you to learn spells from the Cleric class. When your spellcasting feature lets you learn or replace a Sorcerer cantrip or a Sorcerer spell of 1st level or higher, you can choose a new spell from the Cleric spell list or the Sorcerer spell list. You must otherwise obey the restrictions for selecting the spell, and it becomes a Sorcerer spell for you. So let's stop right there. That immediately is very nearly, I say very nearly, I think for the exception of around like 15 to 20 spells, this almost puts Sorcerer, or at least the Divine Soul, on par with the number of spells that the Wizard spell list has. Like, a Divine Soul Sorcerer is the only way that the Sorcerer can hope to match the same number of spells as like a Wizard gets access to. Now, they're not the same spells. Yeah, I know. I'm just talking about numbers here. It's still not quite the same, but it's just something worth noting that if you take this subclass, you are instantly able to access way more spells than any other sorcerer gets. In addition to that, choose an affinity for the source of your divine power, good, evil, law, chaos, or neutrality. You learn an additional spell based on that affinity, as shown below, It is a sorcerer spell for you, but it doesn't count against your number of sorcerer spells known. If you later replace this spell, you must replace it with a spell from the cleric spell list. So this is essentially just giving you a free choice of spell at first level that you know. Because the way that this is worded, you can replace it later. You get it here, sure, but then like as soon as you're able to pick up another one, no problem. But the spells that it does give here are significant. Especially if you look, like, good gets cure wounds, evil gets inflict wounds, law gets bless, chaos gets bane, neutrality gets protection from evil and good. And as you can see, I've highlighted these right here. So let's start out with the top with cure wounds. Cure wounds, it is the preeminent healing spell for D&D 5e. You get 1d8 plus your spellcasting ability modifier to a creature that you can touch. No effects on undeads or constructs. What can I say? Everybody knows cure wounds. If you're wanting to play a healer, you have to pick up Cure Wounds. It's like, oh, yeah, no-brainer. Here, they're getting it. It doesn't count against their number of spells known. Fantastic. I mean, yeah, it's killer. Inflict Wounds. So Inflict Wounds is the only one that I gave an orange here. I think Inflict Wounds, especially on a Sorcerer, is going against the playstyle that a Sorcerer is really going to be trying to do. As a Divine Soul Sorcerer, what you're mostly doing is hanging back, letting the frontliners do their thing, and throwing out damage. There is not really an effective way to create a martialist, let me go back on that. There's not a very effective way to create a melee weapon sorcerer right now in the game. There are ways that you might be able to take feats and yada 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 and try and make it work. However, I just don't quite recommend it. Go Hexblade, Warlock, or Eldritch Knight Fighter. But Inflict Wounds. So why does this go against the playstyle? Make a melee spell attack against a creature that you can reach. On a hit, the target takes 3d10 necrotic damage. Inflict Wounds isn't a bad spell, it's just not a great sorcerer spell. Period. Bless is the other purple one that I've highlighted here. You bless up to 3 creatures of your choice within range. Whenever a target makes an attack roll or a saving throw before the spell ends, the target can roll a d4 and add the number rolled to the attack roll or saving throw, duration of 1 minute. So Bless is just straight up enhancing your d20 for all effective combat means. I mean, you're not getting the d4 to ability checks, but attack rolls and saving throws, duration of 1 minute, average length of combat is about 4 rounds. Some do go over if you're fighting like a more massive boss, something is a little bit more involved. However, like a situation like this is going to last for an entire fight, as long as you keep your concentration up. Bless is fantastic, and I want to go on ahead and talk about Bane. Alright, so Chaos gets Bane, and Bane I gave blue. It's not that it's a bad spell by any means, it's just that it is not as easy to apply as something like Bless. And the whole reason for that, so up to 3 creatures of your choice that you can see within range must make charisma saving throws. There we have a condition now. Bless does not have a condition, other than the fact that you can see the creatures within a range of 30 feet. Whenever a target that fails a saving throw makes an attack roll or saving throw before the spell ends, so duration of 1 minute, the target must roll a d4 and subtract the number rolled from the attack roll or saving throw. So yeah, overall, Bless, I just feel like is more impactful. It's a lot easier to make happen. Bam, you go. Because you cast Bless, Bless is always going to work. Like, it's always going to do what you want it to do. Bane, it may not. It requires a saving throw. So, for them doing similar effects in opposition of each other, Bless is still able to do what it's trying to do better than Bane. Neutrality gets protection from evil and good, and I gave it a green. Protection from evil and good isn't a bad spell at all. It is single target, lasts for 10 minutes. However, I don't feel like it's as impactful as some of the other spells. I would just rather, if you feel like this is necessary, pick it up as a spell that you're going to learn later on down the line. So for 10 minutes, until the spell ends, one willing creature you touch is protected from certain types of creatures, aberrations, celestials, elementals, fae, fiends, and undead. The protection grants several benefits. Creatures of those types have disadvantage on attack rolls against the target. The target also can't be charmed, frightened, or possessed by them. If the target is already charmed, frightened, or possessed by such a creature, the target has advantage on any new saving throw against the relevant effect. It's also worth noting that this doesn't counter humanoids, constructs, beasts, and monstrosities. So there's 4 creature types that are left out there. However, Bane and Bless don't really care about creature type. They're just going to do their thing. So overall, Divine Magic, you massively expand the Sorcerer spell list. It's a way better replacement, I think, personally, than an expanded spell list. So, yeah. Also, at first level, you get Favored by the Gods. Divine Power guards your destiny. If you fail a saving throw or miss an attack roll, you can roll 2d4 and add it to the total, possibly changing the outcome. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a short or long rest. So, some people might be thinking of, at this point, like Divination Wizard getting Portent, or like the Lucky Feat, giving you more like luck points to spend to re-roll attack rolls and such. Or you might be thinking of like Halfling Luck, where if you roll a 1, you get to re-roll a die. So there's a lot of these luck or like favor mechanics as changes to your dice roll. Favored by the Gods, though, compared to Lucky, compared to Portent, compared to Halfling Luck, whatever, Favored by the Gods is always going to be beneficial to you. There's really no risk that you're putting up into using this, other than the fact that, like, you have to wait until you finish a short or long rest to do it. It's 2d4, so that is either the lowest roll is 2, highest roll is 8, the average roll is 5. So, this is always going to help you out. As soon as you use it, you get to add either 2 to 8 to the attack roll or saving throw. I mean, amongst all the different dice fiddly like mechanics that you can get, Favored by the Gods is one of the best and most beneficial of these dice mechanic features in the game. So, Empowered Healing. Starting at 6th level, the divine energy coursing through you can empower healing spells. Whenever you or an ally within 5 feet of you rolls dice to determine the number of hit points a spell restores, you can spend 1 sorcery point to reroll any number of those dice once, provided you aren't incapacitated. You can use this feature only once per turn. So, whenever I first started looking at Empowered Healing, whenever Xanthar's Guide initially came out, I guess I just kind of assumed that this required your reaction. It doesn't. This works at any time something regains hit points by a spell. You are able to force it to re-roll the dice. So, super in line with the flavor intent of this subclass, I think Empowered Healing is where Divine Soul Sorcerer really gets its like, oh, I am here, this is what I'm all about, I am a font of just pure health and divine power. Like, Empowered Healing is so good. Otherworldly Wings, only reason I marked this down as blue, I just kind of feel like you get access to flight with this. It's 30 feet of flight as a bonus action. The flight remains until you dismiss it. That is good. That is good. I just kind of felt like there are other ways to get access to flight by this point. And I think with Empowered Healing, maybe that feature was so good that something like just 30 feet of flight speed at the 14th level thing is kind of like, okay, maybe we had to make sure that they don't just get completely blown out of proportion, right? But it's here. Flight speed is good. There you go. Unearthly Recovery. At 18th level, you gain the ability to overcome grievous injuries. As a bonus action, whenever you have fewer than half of your hit points remaining, you can regain a number of hit points equal to half your hit point maximum. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest. I want to talk about this feature real quick. Okay, so I've opened up this in an Excel spreadsheet to just kind of give you guys an example as to why I think this feature is so good. Here we have, because this is all based off of your maximum hit points, let me get that formatted. Yeah, there we go. So let's take a look. Since this is based off of your hit point maximum, these are kind of approximations, and not every sorcerer is going to have exactly these numbers, so we're just going to go off of I took 4 at every single level, all the way up to 18th, and I added my Constitution modifier. Here, with a con mod of 0, you're going to have 72 hit points, con mod of +1, 92, con mod plus 2 is 110, plus 3 is 128, 146 for +4, and 164 for +5. So that is 4 plus that con mod times 17 plus 6 plus the Constitution modifier, because you're always going to get the maximum hit points at first level. So, what is half of that? Half of that here for con mod 0 is 36, for con mod plus 1 is 46, con mod plus 2 is 55, 64 for +3, 73 for +4, and 82 for +5. Cure Wounds at 9th level, on average, restores 40.5 hit points. That's at 9th level. There are definitely other spells that can do that at a much cheaper resource cost. However, a way that you can think about this feature is that this is very close to getting Cure Wounds at 9th level once per long rest. Just completely for free. Now, it's only for you, sure, but the healing potential of this feature is absolutely ridiculous. It's incredibly strong. Super makes sense for them to get this as a capstone. Here at 18th level, I don't think that there's really a big problem with this, especially because it's only tied to once per long rest, and honestly, at this point, you should basically be a god. I mean, yeah. So Divine Soul Sorcerer for me is absolutely an S tier class. I think it quite possibly outshines most other Sorcerer origin options. However, what it's doing here, you're getting a really cool half blaster, half like healer archetype here. I think that story reasons, flavor reasons, everything here is perfectly fitting. I am a super huge fan of this subclass, and I hope you guys roll one up soon and get to try out the Divine Soul Sorcerer in your games. If you're new to my channel, I do a lot of D&D related content, homebrew reviews, talk about the designs with other homebrewers out there. I also go through a lot of the official material, and I am looking into getting into books and music with my channel. So if that sounds like something that would interest you, why not do the things, all the YouTube stuff, like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell. I appreciate you guys being here. I hope that you all are staying safe, staying healthy, and I hope to see you in the next one.
An urban kick, my rhymes are fly, my beats are sick, my crew is big and it keeps getting bigger. That's 'cause Jesus Christ is